council members to hear ideas about how you can use this funding. I can give a very quick summary of how the city's been using these funds over the last several years. But basically, I think most folks are aware of your housing rehabilitation program, which is citywide. You provide home buyer assistance to first-time home buyers that are lower income and need help with down payment and closing costs, which helps stabilize your neighborhoods with home ownership instead of absentee rental type properties. There's a public service component where the city annually funds groups like the Senior Citizen Center, the Conkling Center, the Glens Falls Area Youth Center, a city summer recreation program, the YMCA, things like that, and several other nonprofits that receive a stream of money from this program each year. You can also do things like acquisition and demolition of certain properties under certain circumstances. You can provide some of this money to the LDC for economic development, small business loans as those projects come up. So that's really pretty flexible. And then there's a decent pot of this money that every year that's been allocated to sidewalk replacement in certain wards, as well as curb and street paving work. Last year, part of Ward 3 was added to the list of areas that you could use this money for those neighborhood improvements. So that activity has been expanded. And there's a decent amount kind of in the bank, so to speak, that we need to get DPW working towards spending on sidewalks. So there's a healthy allocation available now that's fairly liquid, I should say, that we can use on sidewalks this construction season. Hopefully, if the effects of COVID are kind of starting to diminish on public works activities. So that's a good rundown, I think. Each year, the mayor's office, as well as council members, does some outreach. We've, in the past, there have been meetings in certain neighborhoods, Village Green and some other places to get public feedback. We do that now a little bit more remotely these days, but we're developing the budget for this 502,000 and change, and that will be provided to all of you well before the second hearing, so all of you can have input, as well as some of the nonprofits that will make their requests for their next allocation. But we certainly, with working with Mayor Hall, we try to make this an interactive process and get as much feedback as we can. So it's not certainly not driven by myself or my firm. It's just something we start with a previous foundation and kind of work from there if there's any new requests or new needs that are identified in the city, and make sure those things are eligible so you stay in the good graces of HUD with this funding. So I will stop and let and open things up to the public.
Hey, Jim, quick question.
Yeah.
You mentioned sidewalk work, and I know that's been it's starting to be an important part of our infrastructure program. And I know there's some monies that are allocated in the various wards. And then there's a pot of money that's already there that needs to be spent. Can we, like you mentioned, we just brought the third ward in. Could we bump up money in the third ward to, since there are pots of money in other wards to do sidewalk work? Can we bump up that money there?
We could shift a little bit more to the third ward if that's desired. I want to be careful about going back in program years before the part of the third ward was made eligible, which was April 2020. So we don't trigger something where it can't be retroactive with a 2018 or say 17 money if the third ward wasn't eligible for those program years. So we may have to check on that, but going forward, in terms of balancing the allocations to each ward a little bit more, we could certainly look at that.
I'm just looking at how can we maximize that money, and if we've got pots of money already in the existing wards that we haven't spent, and we can reallocate some of that, the new monies to wards where we just came on board with some of them, we can maximize trying to do more sidewalk work throughout the city. That's all I'm asking is how can we maximize those?
So let me just interject real quick. So we have been working, we had a meeting last year with DPW who weren't aware of some of the areas that could receive this money, from the community development money. So we have a list that is at DPW. We'll go through that list. Then we also send them out to see if there's places that need sidewalks that are, that haven't really requested it, but they'll check and see what kind of shape they're in, and then we'll go from there. But again, the third ward is new. We did do some up on Smith Street last year and a couple others. But if you know of any sidewalks that need repair, let us know and we'll try to see if we can get it done.
And just to note, it isn't the entire third ward. It's only a portion of the third ward that's eligible. So,
Correct.
you
Yeah,
have to
but
be
there's,
careful.
yeah, I get
You have to
it,
be careful.
but there's a lot of sidewalks. There's a lot of sidewalks in the fifth ward too. And I mean, Diana, you can step in, but I'm just looking at how can we, now that we've got 4 wards that are eligible in some form, eligible for, sidewalk money. It would be nice to sort of maximize those dollars, spread them around a little bit more.
No question.
Yeah, I was going to ask if the boundaries of what was eligible had changed at all from last year. Because I know
They're the same.
Okay.
Right.
Because I know I had made a request last year that was in the area, but then there are some people who had made requests outside of the area and didn't understand why we couldn't do the
Correct.
sidewalks. So it is only a portion of the ward that we can use this money for.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
And
Jim, I have a
traditionally,
question.
people, we have always used our own DPW to try and do this work. And so we're, realistically, we're limited in how much sidewalk work we can use, we can get done in a season. So there's a list already established of the asks that haven't been gotten to yet, but they hopefully will be.
Jim, is it just sidewalks and curbs, or is there anything else that we can use that money for?
Streets.
Streets?
Yep.
Could there be trees involved?
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
Trees and streets?
Yep. It's really called streetscaping. So anything from the sidewalk to the curb, trees. I think even storm drain, raising storm drains might be possible. I mean, some of those get sunken pretty badly and annoy drivers. It's pretty broad. And we've done, Walnut Street was paved a couple of years ago. Just this money transferred over to a capital account established for that project, and that helped reduce what the city put into that, that paving project because it was in an eligible ward.
So I would ask if any of you have projects that whether it be sidewalks, the street list is coming out. Also, whatever you kind of need, let us know and we'll see if it qualifies for us to use community development money, or we can find it in the budget somehow, but just let us know what your needs are and we'll go from there. I would like to ask you, Jim, about any kind of data you have when you talk about housing rehabilitation. That's a big thing where people are always talking about our neighborhoods. Can you give us some kind of data on how many houses a year that you actually help with these funds? I know that I'm signing checks all the time for housing rehabilitation, but I don't have any hard data. And I was wondering if you could work on something and get that to us so that we know.
We have it. We can definitely compile it and give you kind of a historical rundown.
Okay. Anyone have any questions? Robin?
Question. Yeah, we had that meeting yesterday with Otto, and we were talking about handicap spots and rampways and things like that. Would any of this money be possible for improving our infrastructure for handicap people?
I believe so. It all depends on where it is.
Okay. Right. Good to know. Thank you.
Yep. So are there any other questions that we have for Jim? Okay, seeing that there's none, I want to thank you, Jim, for jumping on board here and helping us out with that. So with that, I would like a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so from there, we'll go to Peter, get the Pledge of Allegiance going. All right. And let's see, tonight will be Miss Reed will lead us in the Pledge of
Of
Allegiance.
course. I pledge allegiance
Allegiance
to the flag of
flag
the United States of
of the United
America
States of America
and to the
and to the
republic
republic
for which it
for which it
stands,
stands,
one nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty
and
and
justice
justice for all.
Thank you, Jane.
Certainly. My pleasure.
Okay, so at this time, we open up to public comment. Is there anyone from the public that's online here that would like to make a comment? Seeing no takers, I'll go to committee reports, and we'll start with Miss Reed.
I have none.
All right, Mr. Campanell,
No report.
Mr. Collins is not here, so we will go to Miss Palmer.
The Building and Codes Committee has continued to meet on short-term rentals. We are tentatively going to meet next Wednesday. Look for email on the exact time. I'm trying to schedule someone to come and talk with us, but just on the same topic of short-term rentals.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Mr. Enderberry
I have no report.
and Mr. Clark.
You're muted, Jim.
Muted, Jim.
No report.
Okay, Jim. Thank you.
Mr.
Okay, so,
Hall, I would like to, there's an ad hoc committee that met this week regarding accessibility that Robin had referred to, and I'd at least like to bring the council up to speed on that, even though it's not my committee. Is that all right?
please do. Yep,
The city had received a letter or an email, a communication from a gentleman who actually resides in the town of Queensbury, who had come to Glens Falls in his vehicle equipped with his wheelchair this winter to try and come to a downtown venue, and found great difficulty in navigating our sidewalks because several of our sidewalks downtown had not been cleared from the snowstorm that had occurred that week. And so he had reached out to the city about that, and the mayor appointed Amy Collins as a head person, and she's organized our first initial meeting with this gentleman. Robin volunteered to join, where DPW and code enforcement and economic development are all taking part, and we're trying to be proactive in making Glens Falls a friendly, accessible city. And it just so happened that the Sustainability Committee had been working on the possibility of these parking sensors as part of their recent effort. And so we're hopeful that we will be able to identify for persons who download an app, handicap accessible parking spaces that are currently available for them, which would apparently, according to our consultant now, our volunteer consultant, be like the first in the nation for handicapped people to be able to access, ability to locate to a place and access what it has to offer. So it was actually, it was really positive for Glens Falls that we were in a place where we could take that leap forward and be ahead of the game. But we're going to continue to meet. We're going to do a mapping of all the handicapped parking places in the city as our next venture. And then he had several suggestions of relatively simple things with signage and paving paint that would make life much more tolerable in our older city. for a person who is handicapped. So we're encouraged, and we're going to continue to meet. And I thought you guys should know it's out there now. So we'll let you know when the next one is.
Great, thank you. So what we will do now is we will go to our resolutions, and the first one is a voice vote. The first one is a resolution approving the minutes of the March 23rd, 2021 meeting of the Glens Falls Common Council. 2 is a resolution approving the March 2021 monthly report of the City Clerk Parking Violations Bureau. 3 is a resolution approving request to use city streets, sidewalks, or rights of way as recommended by the Board of Public Safety and listed on the attached. 4 is a resolution approving requests to use city parks as recommended by the Recreation Commission and listed on the attached. Is there a
So
motion?
moved.
Okay,
Second.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so for the roll call vote, I will tell you that I am going to pull resolution number 19. And I'd like for you on resolution number 24 to put in the dollar figure of $255,000. Once again, we're pulling 19, and the reason for that is we don't have enough information in this resolution. And then on number 24, it will be 255,000. Is there any others that you would like to pull for discussion? Seeing none, I'll go right along. 5 is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract for the sale of city-owned property, vacant land at 0 Kidder Lane, tax map number ID 309.15-4-32.1 to Cindy and Roger Brodeur for the sum of $8,000 plus closing fees incurred by the city of Glens Falls, not to exceed $1,500. 6 is a resolution approving the outside dining permits for Pharmacy Restaurant Bar, 1822 Ridge, Queensbury Hotel, 88 Ridge, Mean Max Brew Works, 193 Glen Street, Spectre Coffee, 140 Glen Street, Seafood by the Bay, 27 Bay Street, Mikado Restaurant at 195 Glen Street, and Gourmet Cafe at 185 Glen Street for placement of tables and chairs on sidewalks in front of their businesses with spacing consistent with COVID-19 protocol, while allowing space for pedestrians, traffic, and other applicable requirements from June 1st, 2021 to May 31st, 2022, with the requirement that permits be renewed annually. Number 7 is a resolution approving for encroachment permits for placements of sandwich boards on city sidewalks for First Baptist Church Thrift Shop at 100 Maple, Glens Falls Farmers Market Association, Queensbury Hotel at 88 Ridge, World Awareness Children's Museum at 89 Warren Street, and 42 Degrees 206 Glen Street, along with Pharmacy Restaurant Bar, 1822 Ridge Street, for the period of June 1st, 2021 to May 31st, 2022, with the requirement that permits be renewed annually. 8 is a resolution approving an encroachment permit for the Mikado Restaurant at 197 Glen Street for 1 air inlet fan and 2 air exhaust fans to overhang the rear of the building for the period of June 1st, 2021, to May 31st, 2022. 9 is a resolution approving an encroachment permit for the Mikado Restaurant, 197 Glen Street for placement of a waste oil barrel in the adjacent trash barrels in the public alleyway next to 195, 197 Glen Street in the rear of the building for the period of June 1st, 2021 to May 31st, 2022. Number 10 is a resolution approving an encroachment permit for Beth Shoppersphere for Forest Stewart Avenue as approved by Mayor Hall per City Code 189-19B, subject to Common Council review for placement of a dumpster in front of her home for the period of April 5th to April 9th, 2021. 11, a resolution approving encroachment permit for Glen Street Associates, 100 Glen Street as approved by Mayor Hall per Code 189-19B, subject to the Common Council review to place a dumpster on Warren Street in front of the old post office building, 69 Warren Street from March 25th to April 25th, 2021. 12 is a resolution approving encroachment permit for Fountain Square Outfitters, 1 Ridge Street for placement of a clothing rack as weather permits on a sidewalk in front of the store from June 1st, 2021 to May 31st, 2022. 13 is a resolution approving encroachment permit for Pharmacy Restaurant Bar, 18 to 22 Ridge Street, as approved by Mayor Hall on March 18th per City Code 189-19B, subject to the common council review, to cone off 2 parking spots in front of the restaurants on Sunday, May 16, 2021, for bride and groom arrivals vehicles, along with the exclusive use of adjoining alleyway on May 16 from 4 to 4:45. 14 is a resolution approving an encroachment permit for Dean Roselle and Irina Kostratinja at 83 Sanford Street, tax map number ID 302.16-13-18 per favorable planning board advisory opinion of April 6th to widen the curb cut apron and widen the first 20 feet of the driveway by 10 feet at this location. The requirement that the apron from the sidewalk to the street be concrete and area be paid to match the rest of the driveway. 15 is a resolution approving a mobile food unit license for Tanya Barrows, 366 Reynolds Road, Fort Everett, for 2021 seasonal 6 months license to operate a Cooley's ice cream truck in the city of Glens, subject to New York State mandated COVID-19 protocol. 16 is a resolution approving a mobile food unit license for Brian Collins, 19 Justin Street, Latham, New York, for a 2021 seasonal 6-month license to operate a Mr. Dingaling ice cream truck in the city of Glens Falls, subject to New York State mandated COVID-19 protocol. 17 is a resolution authorizing the controller to increase general fund expense line A23120-4312 police clothing uniform supplies by $159.24 to account for a refund from returned uniform items. Excuse me. 18 is a resolution authorizing the controller to increase general fund expense line A11420-4484 law legal expenses by $31,500 and decrease general fund expense line A11990-9000 contingency by $31,500. Number 20 is a resolution awarding a bid for the city of Glens Falls 21-01 Henry Street Pump Station improvements to Tom Kubricki Company Incorporated for the bid amount of $974,988 and further authorizing the mayor to enter into the agreement in form approved by the city attorney. 21 is a resolution awarding bid City of Glens Falls 21-02 Maple and Walnut Street sanitary and storm sewer improvements to Galusha and Sons LLC for the bid amount of $961,458 and further authorizing the mayor to enter into the agreement in a form approved by the city attorney. 22 is a resolution approving a supplemental agreement with Creighton Manning to extend work on the downtown market project in the amount of $57,757 and further authorizing the mayor to enter into the extension agreement in the form approved by the city attorney. 23 is a resolution approving community development manual payments of $32,482.76. The resolution awarding the Market Center Design Project to Envision Architects in an amount not to exceed $255,000 and authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract for professional services. I got lost here. In a form approved by the city attorney in accordance with the applicable city and state of New York regulations and policies related to the city's DRI reward. And 25 is a resolution approving the warrant.
So moved.
Second,
Roll call vote.
Councilwoman at Large Reed,
yes.
Councilman Campanell,
Affirmative.
Councilwoman Palmer,
Yes.
Councilman Enderberry,
Yes.
Councilman Clark.
Yes.
Great. The resolution's approved. Thank you very much. So now we will go to, first off, we'll go to old business. Ms. Reed,
I have none.
Mr. Campanell.
Nothing tonight.
Okay. Ms. Palmer.
I just want to thank you and Mike for opening the courts for the kids to use. Hopefully everyone will be respectful and follow the rules.
Well, I just give you an update. Mike went by there this evening. Not one place was packed. Not one person had a mask on. So
That's correct.
we got some work to do.
Do we have the signs up all around that say
We
where?
have some signs. We
Yeah.
need more.
Okay, all
But
right.
we'll work on it. We want to keep them open because it's a good thing, but we're gonna have to get people to comply, that's all.
Yeah,
But thank you.
all right.
Okay, Mr. Enderberry,
I have none.
Mr. Clark,
I just want to say it's great to see all these infrastructure projects on our agenda to approve. It's desperately needed in our city, and I'm glad that we have the ability to do that. And under the mayor's leadership, it's been great. So thank you, Mayor.
you're welcome. New business, Ms. Reed,
I have none.
Mr. Campanell,
None.
okay, Ms. Palmer,
I have none.
okay, and Mr. Enderberry,
I have none.
okay, Mr. Clark.
I have none.
All right. So I have a few things we want to talk about. You know, what Ms. Palmer was talking about. We have opened up our parks. We are going to allow the use of the fields for lacrosse, soccer, whatever. But we are, again, trying to get them to follow the guidance that's put down by the state and the state health department and so on. So we got some work to do on that. We will, obviously, we're going to try to open up Haviland's Cove when it's the right time. We're probably going to go with the same route that we did last year with limiting the people and mainly limiting Warren County residents. We are going to open up by reservation only the pavilions back there in that area. So we're trying to be, to help the community, and, everybody wants to get outside, but we still are in a pandemic, so we got to make sure people try to comply. Along what Jim was talking about with the infrastructure projects, we are got a lot of things going on. There's a lot of construction going on. I will give you a heads up, stay away from Warren Street down headed into Queensbury. Coming up here this next week, they're going to be closing that street. Of course, we have the project on Dix Avenue where half of that street's closed. So if you could stay home and try not to go through those areas because it's going to be pretty crowded. But these are all things that have to get done, and sometimes we have to sacrifice. So there's been some questions about the monies that we will be getting. The senator was here, and we want to thank Senator Schumer for helping us get the monies through, our CDBG funds. We will be getting that at some point. We do not have the guidance totally. We do know that water and sewer projects are in there, some kind of economic development projects, but I think there's going to be a broad range of projects. So what we will do when we get closer with the guidance, we'll have a workshop. I feel that the Common Council obviously knows a lot of the things from the experience that you've had over the last years, and we can get together and we can try to figure out where we want to spend this money. I have some ideas, and I'll run those by you when we get closer to the guidance is given to us. So
Really appreciate that, Mayor. Thank you very much for including us.
yeah, you bet. We're pretty excited about it. And I have nothing else. Is there any other person from the public that would like to ask a question?
Robin,
Two things.
Hands up or anything like that, but we do have quite a few people watching, so.
We got Robin.
Two things. First, Diana, you talked about the short-term rentals. So I assume you're working on a local law to collect that money?
We're looking at our definitions right now that are in our code. There isn't one for short-term rentals really. So we're looking at all the definitions that kind of relate to that, and we are looking at regulations for them. Yeah, the county collects money for short-term rentals.
Right. So I'm on this hospitality committee meeting every Monday, and with Mark Beeman and a lot of people
Yes.
throughout the county. And this comes into discussion pretty much every week.
Mhm.
And so my question came a couple weeks ago that who is the enforcer of the rules? Like who has to make the rules in order for it to be enforced? And the answer was the communities, the cities, or the towns. And so I was told that Claudia and maybe possibly you were working on something, and I hope that in the coming years we can come up with that, because there has been a dramatic shift from hotels in the county to these short-term rentals. And like Airbnb is not necessarily very responsive in collecting this money and getting it back to the municipalities.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Claudia has something going on at the county, but we're looking at the city of Glens Falls. And so the Building and Codes Committee has been meeting on that. Those meetings are always on our city calendar, and you know, people can attend if they want. You know, we're looking, it also is an issue with affordable housing and how it impacts that market as well. So there's lots of different components to consider, including, you know, how it impacts the hospitality industry too.
Right. Yeah. It's, you know, the tax collection. So yeah,
Yep.
I'll probably tune into some of those meetings now that I know that there's some focus on that. My second thing is from the collaborative on the 24th, Saturday from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. We're doing our downtown cleanup. So I hope to see some smiling faces out there helping us pick up garbage and sweep up leaves and really spruce up the town coming into the late spring season. So again, it's Saturday, the 24th. I think that is Earth Day from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. You meet at City Hall parking lot. Mr. Cadiz provides refreshments and the rakes and the shovels and the bags. And if you just bring your own gardening gloves, pretty much everything else will be there for you, and we can clean up the city.
Nice.
Thanks.
Well, I want to thank you, Robin, for taking the lead on that. That's a great thing that you guys do every year, and that helps us keep a clean city. And we get a lot of compliments, and it's from a volunteer effort like that you guys do. I also want to commend Ms. Palmer for taking the lead on this, with the committee for buildings and codes, and taking the lead on the Airbnbs and the rentals and so on. It's quite a task. Our codes are pretty old, but there's a lot more to it than just putting fees out there and signing up, as she talked about with affordable housing and so on. So we got quite a few issues, and she's taking the lead on that, and I'm very appreciative of that. Is there anything else that you would like to discuss this evening? Okay, seeing that there's none, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.
So long.
Have a good night.